All right, good afternoon. This is Carbon County Commissioner Chris Lukasiewicz. In just a minute, I'm going to go ahead and get started, hopefully taking about a half hour. I'm going to talk about 2022, what I'm calling 2022 notable accomplishments by quote unquote county government, and then some 2023 priorities. I would remind everyone that these are simply my perspective on notable accomplishments and should not be confused with a position of the Board of Commissioners as a collective. I would also emphasize that these notable accomplishments and priorities are mine and mine alone, and should not be seen as reflecting the position of the Carbon County Board of Commissioners. So what I'm doing right now, I'm just doing a little bit of sharing here, getting these moving, this particular video moving around Facebook on a couple different groups. So just bear with me as I work through that, because I have about 10 to 12 different groups that I tend to post them in. I want to make sure there's maximum dissemination of this. So it'll take me just about a minute to get all these moving around Facebook to the different groups. All right, and we're about there. All right, that's one. It's actually easier to do the sharing when you're doing it from the iPad. Yeah, all right, there's another one. All right, let me get one more out there and then we'll go ahead and get started. Burning daylight, all right. All right, well, there we go. I'm going to turn my volume up, make sure I'm being heard here. All right, here we go. So Carbon County Commissioner Chris Lukasiewicz, thank you for joining me. Thank you for your patience as I was pushing this Zoom Facebook upload live stream around social media for about the next maybe 15, 20 minutes, a little bit longer. I tend to normally expand upon maybe previous comments a little bit. So where previously it may have taken me 10 or 15 minutes to get through these notable accomplishments and priorities, I'm going to take a little bit more time, kind of slow down my speaking. These notable accomplishments that I'm going to highlight and the priorities, and I'm going to screen share here in just a moment. Again, we're presented at the Board of Commissioners meeting here on Thursday, but they were done pretty quickly because, again, I want to be conscientious of other people's times to include the media. I'm also going to place kind of the slide or the image of these notable accomplishments and priorities on my C4 Commissioner Facebook page sometime today, maybe subsequent to this particular event. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and screen share. Keep in mind, this is from a C4 perspective, Chris Carbon County Commissioner perspective, and not necessarily of other commissioners. All right, here we go. All right, right now you should be seeing a screen share for all intent and purposes, let's call it a pseudo blank slide. and I'm trying to see it coming up on my other feed. Obviously, I have somewhat of a delay. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. So here's the 2022 notables, 2023 priorities, and it's my perspective on that. All right, so here they go. Starting to come up right now. All right, so the notables. And there's about 10 notable, maybe 11. And again, they aren't necessarily in any priority of importance. Just more or less as I was reviewing some of the notable things that have transpired in county government, I put them down and didn't necessarily reorganize them in a prioritized or most important order. But I do believe, this is one of my favorite ones. I think greatest accomplishments. Many of you might remember that in August, the court, the president, judge, and the row officers in a salary board meeting came to the salary board trying to force a 9% cost of living adjustment increase. This particular action would have usurped the roles, responsibilities of the Board of Commissioners to set a budget, have a budget process, and also impact taxation. Why do I say impact taxation? Because if these salaries for any reason would have been approved as a cost of living adjustment 9% mid-year, that would have impacted this year's budget, 2023. And we're at the point in the budget where in order to give an across the board, for all intent and purposes, 9% salary increase, and that wasn't an average, that's 9% across the board, big difference, right? A 9% salary increase would have broke the bank. And in order, when the bank is broken, and that bank is county government, what do? They go back to you and me and raise the millage rate or property taxes. So successfully blocked that attempt to usurp the authority of our taxing and budgeting authority and responsibility. Number two, I think the website launch, a significant upgrade to our existing website. It was great to see that. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can change the share here to this, because it's the new website, which is, let me see it here, carboncountypa.gov. So, at your leisure, jump on over there to carboncountypa.gov. The website has been upgraded significantly. I think it makes a big difference in the user experience, your ability to find information. And I believe with that, I can jump over to there right now. Let me go ahead and do that. All right, there is the Carbon County website, carboncountypa.gov. You go under government, for example, right? All the agendas and minutes. So for example, we have an annual salary board meeting. It's really the first one of the year. And in lieu of being on a Thursday at 10:30, the first annual one is the first Tuesday in January. But the important thing is now on the website, you can go agenda minutes, Board of Commissioners, and son of a gun, there are all the agendas, video, the minutes when they're approved from those particular meetings. So it's a great resource. So, all right, you want a government service? There you go. You want to go to the animal shelter, you want parking, you want GIS mapping. It is all there, takes you right to those particular tools that are important to us. And one of the attributes I like most is the ability to more easily find information using a search function. Obviously, up here on the upper right, you can search, but also the document hub, where you can go down and either put a name of a document, or you can go ahead into the individual categories and find documents. Here, I just pulled up animal shelter, adoption application, animal shelter advisory board, different documents that are available. And now you can find them much more easily. All right, let me stop sharing that one. And let's go back to there we go, share. All right, here we are. Now we're back over to notable number 3, free validated parking for county residents, county taxpayers who pre-schedule an appointment with currently 11 departments under the Board of Commissioners and 2 row offices. The 2 row offices, Recorder of Deeds and the Treasurer's Office. So if you're going in for a fishing license or dog license, call up the Treasurer's Office, schedule an appointment. They'll go ahead and give you a code they can use in select kiosks at the entry and exit to the county lot. So you can have 2 hours of free parking while you go in and get your fishing license, your dog license, or whatever the case may be. Also, the mapping office, tax assessment, tax claim, Veterans Affairs, Children and Youth Services, just more of the offices, the purchasing office here in the administration building also. And we'll continue to roll this out and offer the opportunity for other row offices to be involved in this starting February 1st. I'm going to go ahead and pause for a second here as the train pulls out of the station, so we don't all have to listen to it. All right, there it goes. That should be it. All right, so commence validated free parking this year. Let's look at the next one. Right. So this past Labor Day weekend, we did kind of a proof of concept to see the possibility of how we could handle a situation, a holiday weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Labor Day Monday, in which we modified our admission policies for Mock Chunk Lake Park. That is, restricted the county residents, family memberships, individual memberships, campers, renters of pavilions, and campers. And that was highly successful, allowed us to see some of the challenges in regards to the potential of traffic backing up. How do we communicate to the public that there are certain modifications or restrictions on entry to Mock Chunk Lake Park? So that proof of concept proved invaluable, and I suspect will be highly valuable as we look at implementing such a program next year. We also completed our broadband study. Again, reached out to thousands of Carbon County residents, or I should say we reached out to all residences and businesses in Carbon County. And then we had significant feedback back from that from that broadband study. And importantly, it helped us get a state of broadband, an understanding of the state of broadband here in Carbon County. And right now it has allowed, us to be able to compare the reporting from our citizens with the internet service providers, what they have provided to the FCC. And that goes down to each individual residents. And I gave an example of that at the Board of Commissioners meetings, where I showed how between now and January 13th, you as a citizen of Carbon County, and actually a citizen of the United States who has access to a computer, can check and verify, one, that the location that is reported for broadband service in your neighborhood, and particularly to your residents, is accurate, and also that the services the internet service providers say they are providing are also accurate. So let's go ahead. Maybe I can jump over and share. Do a quick switch over. So talking about the broadband, here's broadbandmap.fcc.gov, and this is a challenge. So over about the past year and a half, the FCC was bringing all the data together and reaching out to internet service providers and others to go ahead and input their knowledge of the level of broadband connectivity. So let's look at any address here. All right, there's 1211 Center Street in Jim Thorpe. Throw that one out there, right? Here it is. All right, I recognize that place, right? So there's 1211 Center Street. Yep. So the first thing I notice, if I come over to the right, a location challenge. Well, that says 1211 Center Street. Yep, I know that to be 1211 Center Street, and it is, according to reporting, served by fixed broadband, as you can see up here. So no reason to challenge the location. It is an accurate location. Then down here, what you have are the different broadband or internet service providers who provide fixed broadband. And you can see there are 5 that offer different level of service. PennCorp reports they provide up to 1,000 down and 40 up speed at this particular location. Now, if I knew that was not accurate, now I may not be able to afford that particular speed, but they do provide it to that residence. Now, if that were not the case, you could actually submit a challenge. You just go in, select it right here, and then you put in your contact information and why you are challenging that particular level of service that is being reported as available at that location. All right, so PennCorp Blue Ridge Technology. Right. So the information that our county broadband study has provided has allowed me and others to go ahead and look at what our citizens were reporting and say, wait a minute, up here in Packer Township, it says this is being provided. And it allows us to actually compare, and we can do a bulk challenge if we found significant difference from what the ISPs are reporting and what you as a citizen had reported during the broadband survey that was sent out. All right, let me jump back to my other share. If I could. All right. So again, the broadband study, extremely important, really gave us a good sense of Carbon County, the level of service being provided or not being provided. And I will tell you what I loved about it. It was a forcing mechanism. Now, the ISPs will never admit it, but it put them in the hot seat. If you go back and do a Google search on Times News articles, Standard Speaker articles, stuff like that, you will see the ISPs were pushed back on their heels. And I have no doubt this had an influence on the level of service, the speed at which service was pushed out to Carbon County residents. Anecdotal evidence only, but I have no question in my mind it had a very positive effect, immediate effect, and then it continues to serve the residents of Carbon County by providing the information to potentially challenge misinformation that has been provided. All right, let's jump back over. The salary study, 8 of the 11 tasks have been completed. Coming up 3 January at 2 o'clock, that's this Tuesday, is the annual salary board meeting. I would tell you, you don't want to miss this one. It's going to be extremely interesting as we incorporate the salary study results into proposed salaries for county non-union employees. So this has provided the foundation for resetting the salaries to more competitive rates. So I ask you to tune in Tuesday, 2 o'clock. The County Commissioner's Facebook page, my Facebook page, will be live streaming it also, or show up in person to see the annual salary board meeting. It's that one time a year where we formally set the salaries for the year. Now, we do have salary board every month, but all those changes that are proposed in subsequent months, right, February through December, are based upon the salaries that are set in January for non-union county employees. All right. Next, Animal Shelter Advisory Board stood up about midwinter. I believe the first meeting might have been around February of this year. Notable accomplishments have been made in the administration processes of running an animal shelter, and improvements, notable improvements have been made. And a lot of that stemmed from the work of the Animal Shelter Advisory Board. And so kudos to those 5 individuals who are the first cohort to lead the effort to make it a more effective, more efficient, more of a quality animal shelter that looks after the health of the employees, the animals, and provides service excellence to the citizens of Carbon County. So I think you're going to see additional significant value brought forth by the Animal Shelter Advisory Board this coming year. And keep in mind, this emanated, or the genesis of the Animal Shelter Advisory Board came out of the initiative that I had to have Lehigh Valley Humane Society plus PCOR, our risk insurance provider, to come and do an operations and risk assessment of the shelter to understand where we're doing things well, not so well, and things we should fix, the immediate, the midterm, long-term things. So a lot came out of that study. Most notable, the Animal Shelter Advisory Board, which has been a catalyst for positive change up there. To include now, we even have a part-time administrative assistant that was seriously needed. Agricultural land open space ballot question. What we have? Just over an 82% positive yes vote by the citizens, voters of Carbon County in regards to the county looking at up to a $10 million bond or issuance that would be utilized to provide resources for protected land easements, or actually purchase land so it can't be unnecessarily developed and jeopardize, our great natural beauty that we have. I have to admit that the county does a pretty good job of investing in its employees' training and education. And I highlight it by mentioning Leader Employee Professional Development, specifically the National Associations of County Leadership Academy, which individuals are attending. 12 to 14-week course done virtually, but highly rated, highly valuable, highly respected for the curriculum that has been developed to help our employees, specifically individuals, to be better leaders or to be leaders. And in concert with that, we also send county employees to leadership Carbon. And we currently have 2 in the existing cohort, or the cohort that is currently taking place. And this is just example of the investment that is made in the employees' training and education. And I will tell you, on a weekly basis, there are dozens of training and education opportunities that are afforded, to include the continuing education credits that many positions require. We did a mileage reimbursement increase. It was originally, and for many, many years, and no one knows when it was last changed, was 45 cents. We were able to move it up to 60 cents, which is just about 2.5 pennies below what the IRS has recently upgraded to. So for those county employees who, because of a lack of county vehicles at the particular time of need, have to use their POVs, and there's not much. I do have the data and published it previously, the number of miles that county employees use their POVs, personally owned vehicles, privately owned vehicles for. But we upped that based upon, of course, much more expensive gasoline, tolls, and things of that nature going up. So that rate went up. And I think one thing we're highly successful in, not that there aren't always some type of small glitches, is the administration of the last two elections, right? The primary and the November general election. For the constant change that has taken place in elections seemingly all the time, mostly as we get closer to election, the actual elections, it seems like the Department of State is bringing down changes at the last minute, and we have to have a lot of flexibility and agility in our election staff. And for all, to sum it up, really, I think they've done a very, very good job. And speaking of, this is just elections and elections department. And one of the most critical tasks that we as commissioners have is to oversee, as members of the salary board, as the election board, overseeing the running of our elections. Probably our most significant responsibility that I would argue that we have. And the staff down there is doing a really good job. And talking of staff and departments accomplishments, what we are going to see, I have to decline a call here just for a minute here. I just lost my train of thought. Administration of elections, other departments. So a few months ago, I gave the 20 or so departments under the Board of Commissioners, 21 departments under the Board of Commissioners, that at the end of the year, I'd like to see their top 3 accomplishments for the year. So in December, all the departments got back to me, provided me their top 3 accomplishments. And what I am going to do at the end of January, first week or so of February, I'm going to go ahead and publish those accomplishments. Now, what I am going to do in January, I'm arranging meetings with every department head to talk about those accomplishments that they think are most notable for their particular department. Then talk about their priorities for 2023. So as soon as I wrap up those conversations that are being coordinated, I'm going to go ahead and publish top 3. So it'll be kind of the state of the county by department, based upon their input of their employees, their offices, most notable accomplishments. All right. The last thing I'd say, the Emergency Operation Training Center got completed, and I do have an asterisk there, and that asterisk really is, while it's a phenomenal training facility, is originally in 2018 timeframe, about scheduled to be about $12.4 million. The expectation is the most of that would be grant money. But the fact is, in April of 19, it got rolled back, right? We got it so away from the Taj Mahal down to about $7.5 million, between $5 and $7.5 million. That was the same time. Hold on, let me go ahead, just take that and I'll be All right. So let me jump back into that. So originally about $12.4 million, right as we were starting to gear up for the primary in 2019, all of a sudden, we no longer need the Taj Mahal. We can get it down to $5 to $7.4 million, more or less. Now, this is the previous board. At the same time, as you recall, they canceled the Susquehanna Street project, right? That massive building that was threatening St. Mark's. So I have no doubt in my mind, the EOTC and the Susquehanna Street project were downgraded money-wise based upon the coming election in fear of the forthcoming campaign. Now, I said I have that asterisk there, right? So we got it supposedly when we did the contract, it was just over $5 million in 2020 when the contract came in. Well, guess what? Unfortunately, I saw it looks like now it's back up to about $10 million. So I think my concern is with the facility is that we didn't need a $10 million facility. We needed a 5.5 million facility at best. As I've always said, we need the best trained, educated, and incentivized volunteers, emergency responders that we can do in a fiscally responsible manner. And quite frankly, I think ultimately it has not been done in a fiscally responsible manner. So that's my long explanation and not very coherent of why I add the asterisk to that as a notable accomplishment.